A very good evening, everyone. A really warm welcome to you to St Anne's Church here in Chasetown. Welcome to everybody who's here in the church building, and we've also got folks joining us through a Facebook live stream. So welcome wherever you are. Pretty much everyone in church is kind of a long way away here, so if you're feeling brave, especially if you're wearing a blue hoodie and recently went to South Africa, perhaps you'd like to move forward a bit, please. Thanks very much. And immediately that means everyone else can see which are the people who have been in the team that we visited South Africa just a few weeks ago. And thank you everyone for coming to hear some stories about that visit, to see some pictures of the visit, some music and some flavour of it, and hopefully it'll be a splendid and a really enjoyable and informative evening. Thank you for coming wherever you've come from. My name's Richard. I'm the team vicar here at St Anne's, and I was a member of the team which visited our partner communities of Mafambisa and Zwalisha at the end of February and beginning of March. So, without too much more to say, just to remind you about some structure for the evening, but first of all, toilets. If you need the toilet, head for the main entrance that you used when you came in, and rather than turning right to go outside, turn left, and there are two toilets there which you're very welcome to use. We're not planning on any emergencies, but if you need to get out in a hurry because of a fire or something, you can use the main exit I've mentioned, or through here, mind a step down through the door and then move to the right. There's a crash door which will take you onto the car park as well. And if we do need to exit because of a fire, then we'll meet on the car park behind the church here, if that's okay. Our programme for this evening is really to try and help people get a picture and a flavour of what happened on the visit that we made to our partner communities a few weeks ago. There'll be some videos and photographs to show. Mr Leonard, who's the key and lead teacher for the Link for Life project in Wolgarston High School, will come and we'll have a little sort of a chat on the sofa, without a sofa if that makes sense, to talk through some of the things that we have kind of spotted, I suppose, in the course of the partnership that we've had over a number of years. And then we're going to break at about 8 o'clock, 8:10 maybe, for some food. We've got some pap, which is maize meal porridge, freshly made today, and some chakalaka, which is a kind of spicy vegetable thick soup, which is one of the kind of things that we had when we were in Africa at the care points that we visited that were staffed by Hands at Work volunteers. And so that will be an opportunity to have some of that if you want, and some more regular English tea and coffee if that's something you prefer as well. And the idea then is that once you've got your food, if you'd like to head across to the tables on the left-hand side of the church, and we're going to ask any of the students and team members who were on the visit to kind of position themselves one per table or two per table, and then please, for the rest of us, join any table you like and just have a chat with the students and the other team members who went. We've put some starter questions on there in case you don't kind of know what sort of questions you might want to ask. You don't have to ask them all, you don't have to ask any, but if it's a help, they're there to sort of get the ice broken, I suppose, to have a conversation there. And part of what's going on here is that we're helping all the team members to kind of work through verbally what they experienced on their visit to Africa, to put words to the emotions that all of them have experienced both in Africa and since they returned. There's a few team members who aren't with us this evening, and they've sent apologies, but nevertheless, the team members who are here are really grateful for the opportunity that they had to visit. So, there's two videos we're going to show just now, and then we'll move on to this little interview between Mr. Leonard and myself. Then we'll have the food and conversation. And then afterwards, there's a bit more of a flexi time where any wider questions that people might want to ask of anybody in the group can be asked, and hopefully some answers worked towards. But all of the visit really was principally about supporting the work of Hands at Work in Africa. And that's a small but very resilient and imaginative non-governmental organisation, a charity based in South Africa but working in 8 countries of Africa, which seeks to help the most vulnerable children and young people in the communities in which they work. And they do that by providing or seeking to set up 3 essential services, which are food security, health and education. We'll have more chance to talk about what that means, but those three things are, they reckon, the core of what is needed for these most vulnerable children to be able to begin the process of having some stability and a reasonable chance of progressing in life, even though their life chances are very, very difficult because of the places where they're born. I hope that we'll have a chance to talk about some of this more informally, but that's the backdrop of where the visit was going, and the Link for Life project is basically a bit of a bridge to help folks here in the UK, particularly young people, to bridge into the work that Hands at Work in Africa are doing, all under the umbrella of Hands at Work in Africa UK, who help other churches, other organisations to partner with the different communities in Africa. It's a lot to say, but hopefully I've given a bit of back context there. So there are two videos we're going to see now. The first of them is a video which was taken by Mr. Leonard with the help of all the different students in a kind of one-to-one interview where it was rehearsed, but also freelance too. So you'll hear some of the conversations that were going on and also some of the pictures that go alongside the conversations that are taking place. After that, we were privileged to have a professional photographer with us on the visit, actually my stepson Joe Wilkins, and he's taken some excellent photographs which he's put together in a video slideshow for us, and we'll see that after we've heard the first video as well, and then we'll go to Mr. Leonard and I having a chat together. I should first of all, though, just introduce the rest of the team, if I can. In no particular order, give us a wave, please. Tony, Mr. Mike Leonard, Catherine, and Izzy, and then Lucy, Aoife, Jessie, and Kerry. Okay, and I'm Richard. And others who were on the team aren't able to be with us tonight, but that's okay. We'll work without them. So these are the people who you might see in the video. Hopefully all the sound works well, and let's see how it goes.
Are there any events or people that really stood out to you during our time at Hands at Work?
Yes, there was this one girl and she was 6 years old, and from the start of the visits to the last visit she stuck by my side the whole time, and all through the care point she followed me around, and on the first day she was very shy, didn't speak, and she didn't want to play any games, but day by day she slowly opened up, and by the last day it was the first time I've ever heard her real laugh, and she had this really big grin on her face, and she was joining all the games, all the singing and dancing. So I think that she really stood out to me throughout that.
So how has that person or event affected you?
She affected me because it took her a while to let her real personality shine through, and it took her the whole trip to be able to trust me.
Yeah.
And it's even just playing games, she would stand next to me, and then as soon as she started to trust me with everything, didn't let go of my hand throughout the last day. And then it also affected me in a negative way because it was hard to see. She was just smiling when we were saying bye, and I don't think she knew that we weren't going to see her the next day. So it just made me more upset thinking that maybe tomorrow, well, the day after, she was waiting for us.
Yeah.
And because how young she was, she didn't know what was happening.
For you, what Holy Home visit has really stuck with you because of the impact that it made?
I heard the story of two young boys named Present and Thomas. They lived with their grandmother as their parents passed away when they were young. But both children lived with a chronic illness, and one of the children named Present spent a year in hospital. However, the grandmother leaves to find work daily, so it's up to the care workers to make sure they've both had their medication.
What was a moment that changed your perspective on school?
So, on a Holy Home visit, I met a 19-year-old named Jake. He had no documentation, so last year when he didn't do well in school, it forced him to leave. As a consequence, he feels his dreams of being a teacher are no longer possible, showing that some children dream of being able to go to school, but in England we can sometimes take it for granted.
I think particularly the Care Worker Appreciation Day really stood out to me because it was really nice to see the care workers finally relax, wind down, because we were like making bracelets and they were having their nails done. I just thought it was nice to see them finally sat down, having time to themselves, I think, because after we'd heard their stories in the relationship groups, you know, we know they're dealing with really hard situations as well. It was nice to see them have an opportunity for themselves.
Has that event affected you?
I think there's a positive side to it and a negative side, because in a positive sense, obviously it was nice to see them relax. However, in a negative way, you kind of in the back of your mind, you think they never get that opportunity, and this is going to be one of the only opportunities they have to do that for, you know, possibly until the next time we come. So it's just, I think it's hard to really put yourselves in their position.
What issues amongst people our age stood out to you the most?
On more than one occasion we encountered girls aged around 15 or 16 that were pregnant, and in some cases the fathers were like way older than them, and I think it really shocks you and makes you reflect on your own life and privilege. For example, if one of us was in a similar situation, the consequences would be drastically different and a lot softer. For starters, there'd be like authorities involved, the school would be accommodating, and most of us would have support. But for these girls, they're left having to drop out of school and therefore having all their opportunities wiped out from underneath them, and no choice but to raise a baby all alone in a really harsh environment.
What did you learn about the care workers themselves and the work they do?
I think the impact that the care workers have on the lives of not just the vulnerable children but their families as well is really incredible. I think we were lucky enough to see firsthand the benefit and positive change that they cause. I think it was really powerful and eye-opening to get to know the care workers and learn about their lives when they opened up to us. So these people are battling through so much behind the scenes, yet they have the resilience, strength and kindness to invest in the lives of those who are struggling and really make a difference.
Hello, I'm going to be talking to you today about the community at Hands and Work. So the first day when we got there, it was really welcoming. They had a meeting on the Monday morning. It was really nice, and they had a couple of birthdays there that they celebrated, where they got everyone to stand up and clap to a song of happy birthday. And then throughout the week, I kind of partnered up with one of the care workers called Audris, and he's a lovely guy. He helps out at the Math and Bisa community point, and it's just brilliant to see this one male go in there, because the lads that are there don't have a massive father figure, so when Audris comes down and plays Shake Banana, it's great for him to have a laugh and everything. There was another one called Virginia, which helped an tremendous amount. Helped when we were trying to speak to the care workers, so she did a lot of translating for us. This is just a massive shout out to them, basically saying thanks for everything.
Hey, food!
Going to ask Mr. Leonard now, Mike Leonard, to come and share a bit of time with me at the front. Can I just check the sound levels okay for those who can hear that? And I hope that's also working for those who are joining us on Facebook. So, Mike, thank you. Come up on the big step. We want to sort of have a chat in public a little bit, because the partnership between Wolgarston High School and Link for Life has been going for just 6 years or so now, isn't it?
Yeah, since 2017.
So, and we kind of had a little chat about what would be helpful to share today. We came up with the thought of the phrase, the difference it makes. And so I kind of wanted to sort of have a conversation in which we invite you to eavesdrop about the difference that you think these visits to South Africa, to the Mafambisa community, do you have an awareness of what those visits the difference it might make to the community and the children and the care workers who are there? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we first went to Mafambisa back in 2017, and it was a different care point. It was called Siatatuka back then. It's gone through a lot of changes, and there are two ways that we can look at it. The first is just to look at the care point itself and the community of Mafambisa and the care workers. When we first went, and for a couple of years, it was really kind of down and really struggled to get care workers to come and attend the care point and to help with the children, and it just seemed to struggle for the first few years, and then it's gradually grown and developed, and our visits there, you can see that when we go, that they're really appreciated by both the care workers and the children. It's some of the kind of phrases I've heard used in the past are, it's like a royal visit to them, that if we had the Queen, or sorry, not the Queen anymore, but the King, coming in here tonight, we all make a big effort. It will be something that's really memorable, that we remember them for the rest of our lives. And it's a similar kind of position in the community of Mafambisa. But unlike a royal visit, it's a lot more comfortable and relaxed and friendly, and we all get involved. And I think that really enhances it as well. And
I know you've worked very hard in the school to help successive years of students be involved in supporting the work that happens at the care point. So can you tell everyone here a little bit what happens at Wolgarston in between the visits that have been taking place?
What we do in general then, as a kind of community of the school, we've committed to support Mafambisa. So one of the key points when we come back from a visit is for the team to share that information with the rest of the school. So we started that today actually with some assemblies that we've been doing. We'll then continue that this term. We have what's called a diversity day at the end of the year, and we have a big link with Hands at Work on that. We ask for some representatives to come in maybe and help us with that. We also try to set up a Zoom meeting with Mafambisa and kind of get as many people from the school involved as possible, because we realise we're only taking a very small team with us to Mafambisa, and there's 800 students in the school plus the staff. We want to get as many of them as involved as possible. So the key point for us from our perspective is to share that information with everybody else and get them making the connection with the children and the care workers in a way that they obviously can't, because they can't go there, but they feel like they can.
So, thanks for explaining that. So, in some ways, there's a difference happening to the people in the care point in Mafambisa, but also it's making a difference to the culture of the school. Is that reasonable to say that? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's very easy to become quite insular and kind of focused on yourselves. And one thing that we've always tried to do in Wolgarston is to kind of look outward. That's why we've developed what's called Community Day, where we go out into the community of our local area, and what we wanted to do was to kind of extend that even further, so go beyond our local community and draw in the wider world. So that's where we came when we first made the link with Hands at Work and with Link for Life, and going out to Mafambisa. So yeah, I think the perspective that people have changes as a result of the visit.
Okay. And when you say that the school supports the community in Mafambisa, that includes financially, doesn't it? So do you want to tell us a little bit about how that rolls forward? Because not every school would be up for doing that. So what's contributed and how does it help the care point?
Yeah, so over the years we've tried lots of different ways of fundraising. Obviously we've got two areas of fundraising. One is for the visit itself and then one is for Mafambisa. So it's important that we do keep that kind of focus and do separate the two things so people don't get confused. But when we talk about the fundraising for Mafambisa, one of the things that I did a couple of years ago, we have what's called parent pay on the school system, where people, parents pay for whatever they need to buy, like the food at school and the revision guides, etc. And one of the things I asked for was just to have a Mafambisa option on there, so if anybody wants to go on and just donate, they can donate as much as they like. It's raised a few £100s, just doing that, nothing else. We've also got the houses in school, so we have a vertical tutor system, so the houses themselves are set up to raise some money. The target is to raise enough money to support one child at the care point. Obviously we don't limit it to that. If we go beyond that, brilliant. And yeah, we managed to do quite well before the lockdown. It did fade a little bit after the lockdowns because of all of the issues with that, but hopefully we're going to start getting back into it now, and build up the momentum again.
So just a word in here, so that there's for other folks, including St Anne's, who supports the community at Zwalisha, which we also were able to visit for one day. The plan is to try and get £20 per month, which therefore provides one child with the 3 essential services for a month, and that's the plan. So if any of us are able to do that, that's where that fund will go. And part of the visit benefit, I think, is that it allows people to squash the suggestion that some people say, you don't know where the money goes when you give it to a charity. And part of the value of visiting is that we can say, yes, we do know where it goes. We've visited the communities. We've seen the remarkable work that's happening through these care volunteers, and we can vouch for the fact it's really making a difference. So I guess the last bit of the difference it makes would be about how we change the society, the community that we're a part of, because there's a lot of people in the communities across the Midlands who are suspicious or cautious of people who are different or not like us. So how might these visits sort of help to change that sort of perspective, do you think?
It's a difficult one. I don't know if it will for some people. But in terms of our experience on the visit and what we try to share and bring back is how similar the people are. Yes, they have very difficult lives. Yes, they have very different lives to us. But as people, they're exactly the same as us. They have the same sense of humour, and they certainly share it sometimes and laugh at us when we're there. So yeah, we try to bring that back and just show people that, they are people in a foreign country. They are thousands of miles away. They are very different in that respect. But at the same time, they're the same as us. They're just like the people down the road.
That's really important. I think part of what Hands at Work's role does, Hands at Work UK, is it enables us to shrink the world somehow. Lots of international mega companies can find a way of making the international world work for them to make a profit. But one of the gifts that Hands at Work does is shrinks the world in order to make a difference for the people at the very bottom of the pile. And I love that about Hands at Work, because it allows you to get into the small crevices of our world and help people who really need the little tiny bits of help that can make a massive difference. So whilst we may not make a difference for all of Africa, for the community of Mafambisa, there's a huge difference being made by the visit that's going on there. And I think the stories that get told have a snowballing effect, I find. People have come back to me 10 years after making a visit and saying, you might remember I came on a Link for Life visit back in 2012 and I haven't been involved since, but actually I think about it a lot. I've now set up a charity in Cannock to do X, Y or Z, and you couldn't suddenly realise that there's been a deep change going on in people's lives. And I suppose what I'd want to do is to encourage all the people who've been on any visit to not let that seed of change which has been planted in us as we visit to sort of lie dormant. We need to give it life, and part of the way to give it life is to speak about it. So Mike, thank you so much for sharing that just now. What we're going to do now is pause, and I'm going to invite you, if you'd like to head to the kitchen area, which is through the door to the left-hand side, collect a cup of tea or coffee, and if you want it, some pap and chakalaka, and then make your way to one of the tables over here, and you'll be joined by one or more students and other team members, and then we can have an informal chat for 20-25 minutes, and please ask whatever questions you think are going to be helpful that you want to hear about the visit or what's gone on. And the students have got more to say than probably we have 20 minutes for. So please do ask away as many questions as you can, and we'll be around to support them. So if the students are worried, please don't be. We'll be around to give you a hand. So please do have some food and drink, and then make your way to the tables on the left-hand side of the church. Folks, it's a little bit of a shame to kind of draw some of the conversations around the tables to a close, but I wanted to give us opportunity in the last few minutes of our time together, just for any broader questions that might be bubbling up somewhere, and an opportunity for any of the students, because often you've heard from Mr. Leonard and myself, and you've seen videos and so forth, but there might be some of the things that are kind of burning in the hearts of the students. They might want to say, this has gone on, and I want to say this, and I wanted to make sure there's an opportunity for any of them to do it if they want to. We haven't also heard from Kerry and Catherine, and also from Tony, so please, there's an opportunity here for any of you who'd like to speak, or for anybody on any of the tables who's heard something and wants to pass that on to others in the group as well. So I'm just making sure that whatever might have happened on the tables has an opportunity to have a wider airing, if that's at all helpful. So anyone want to grab the mic and say a few words? What do they miss? Okay. Would any of the students like to answer that one? By that, do you mean what do they miss now? Having come back from South Africa, what do you miss? Okay.
Sorry. I think I miss the singing and dancing daily. That was so much fun all the time. Yeah.
I think I miss the sense of community that is displayed within the care point, and also at Hands at Work. That's something to be missed, and also the hope that is spread, because I think when you come back from South Africa you see that many people have a lack of ambition and hope even when they're put in a privileged position. So I think I miss actually seeing people have such aspiration and positivity in times of like sadness and poverty. I think that's what I miss the most.
Give us some insights. So I wonder whether Kerry or Catherine might want to say a few words. You've been quietly sort of. Sorry?
I'll show you my wonderful weaving. But I was well taught, it has to be said, by a young boy called Timbo, and he was extremely patient, wasn't he, Tony? Because he was so fast at this weaving, and it wasn't just that. This young boy was so just a zest for learning, wasn't he? He just was so good at English, so good at maths. He looked so smart in his uniform. He was so proud, and so this is going to be framed at home. And to remind me each and every day, not just about Timbo, but all the children, and just how, like Izzy said, just how much hope that regardless of the struggles and the difficulties that they obviously have, there's just so much hope and joy and laughter and sense of humour and living, they live. But yeah, with all of that going on around it, so yeah, thought I'd share that with you.
Thanks, Kerry. Anybody else? Tony, you're moving me.
Yes, thank you very much. I would say he gave up. He didn't give up on me. I gave up on myself. I was being taught that weaving as well, but just couldn't master it at all. But Kerry sat very patiently with him, and he helped you to create something very beautiful. Unfortunately, I couldn't. But yes, I think that, picking up on what Izzy's just said, I think that the thing I particularly miss about being there was just the sheer joy that was experienced at times of gathering together when the children came back from school, and there would be some form of shared singing or shared worship, if you like. And you can't make that up. That just emanates from people's souls, that sort of joy. And I think that was infectious for all of us to see that. And I think perhaps the other thing is, certainly for me, as we wrestle here in this country, as many other countries do, but it's got particularly in the headlines here, and I'm thinking, Chris copied something for me last night and gave me, when we're talking about the other people, about refugees, about asylum seekers. We met a lot of asylum seekers in South Africa. Many people who'd come over the border from Mozambique, had been in South Africa for a decade or more, and were struggling to get their identity documents, and were being helped in the community or helped by other people. And the sheer challenges, the sheer difficulties that people have when they're dislocated from their home. They've had to leave for a whole host of reasons, but for good reasons, to find a better life. And the amount of support that people need. And I think maybe if, for all of us, certainly for me, if it can trickle down, if I come across somebody here in a situation that's come from somewhere else, it's just to be kind and remember that people don't come willy-nilly. You know, people have been uprooted from terrible situations, and they're just looking for a better life. And in our case, most of us, I can't speak for everybody, but for most of us, we're just fortunate. You know, it's a sheer luck of the draw about where you're born, what your circumstances are, whether you've got parents who look after you, etc., etc. And that isn't always the case around the world, and we've had the privilege of seeing some of that and about the way in which that works. But as I say, it's certainly a very positive experience, because despite all the challenges, the resilience, the strength, the sense of purpose that people have got is really very humbling. So it's not always a sad experience. It's not about somebody having a lack of something. The people have got plenty of things there. And I think what Hands at Work are doing really successfully is partnering and enabling people where they need to be assisted. And these three core tenets that were talked about before, about food security, education and health, those principal things, it's marvellous to see that work just going on, partnering with people, and hopefully more of us may feel inclined to partner as well. Thank you.
Anything you want to add?
When we were in South Africa, most of the days that we went to the care points, we were concentrating on the children, which was amazing and lovely. But these 8 ladies that work at the care point, they work hard. They don't just cook a dinner for 80 children on a cauldron, which is just amazing in itself. They go out to the homes and sort out problems at the homes on these holy home visits, and they do quite a walk to some of those visits as well. So they care in a far deeper way than just providing a meal and helping the children with their homework and things like that. But on the last day we were there, we did an appreciation day for the ladies, and they did appreciate their appreciation day. We painted their nails, washed their feet, made bracelets with them, bought them cake and fizzy pop, which is quite obviously something they don't have on a regular basis. Their faces when they got their cake, which was absolutely amazing, and that was just a completely different focus from what we'd had most of the week. And I was quite touched by how grateful they were for that few hours really, where they were the centre of attention rather than being the workers in a way. So yeah, that was a really
good way to end the week at Mafambisa. Yeah.
Jessie or Lucy, anything you want to add? You don't have to, but if you want to, there's a space for you. Lucy's thinking about it. You want to think a bit longer? Okay. Well, just as we kind of draw towards a close, there are 3 other members of the team who can't be with us tonight. Heidi, one of the other students from Wolgarston, Joe Wilkins, who's in Scotland at the moment, and Jane, who's another member of the staff from Wolgarston, who's got some personal circumstances, which means she can't be here tonight. But I just want to highlight that they were very important members of our team, even though they're not here tonight. They really played an important part in what I think enabled the visit to be positive experience, we hope, and we certainly believe, for the communities that we visited. So I just want to make sure that you know their names as well, even though they're not here with us tonight. Yep.
I think we've all done this talk because we've all hoped we've gone there, made a difference, and we've come back and we want to share what we've done. But I think you have to be careful with the idea that you've made a difference. You're only there for a short period of time. The people that make the difference are the care workers and the people back at the service centre. We make more of a difference coming back here and talking about it and then getting involved with things later on down the line, rather than our short time there, just to get, like, experience it and know what people live like.
One of the students during the course, I complimented the students just how well they were doing, and they were, I have to say, fantastic on the visit, really, really good. And one of them said to me, "Are we the best team?" And I had to say, I can't tell yet, because the team really has 2 parts to what they do. One is what they do while they're on the visit, and the other is what happens when they return. So far, 50% top stuff. Okay, but the really hard yards, I think, come now when we start telling the stories of the people that we met, start raising funds for the people that we met, and start thinking about, well, what difference am I going to let this visit make to the way that I shape my life and the lives of those around me? That's a really hard question. And I think Tony mentioned earlier, talking about the luck of where we're born, and George Snyman, who's one of the founders of Hands at Work, had a conversation with another team visit that I was involved with, and he got a coin and tossed it up and said, "Where are you going to be born?" England? Good for you. Africa? Not so good. And part of it is not to say that it's about luck, but it's or for us to feel guilty that we've been born in a place of relative privilege, but to say, how can we learn to be grateful? How can we be full of gratitude for the opportunities that we do have, and therefore live well in the place that we do have, having in mind the people who haven't been born into such a place of privilege and the situations that we have. So the hard stuff really begins now as we try and work out, all of us who are here tonight, whether we've been to Africa or not, have a kind of a chance to say, well, how then shall we live? Knowing what we do know now, what difference are we going to make? And that's exactly the point that Lucy was making. You made it really well. So I'm sorry if I've clouded it by speaking some more. But the point you're making is really the visit was good for us who went, and we've gained so very much. And our challenge now is to say, how do we go on making the visit work for the people that we met, in order that they will know they've not been forgotten? And that's really, really special. There'll be more opportunities to have some feedback events in the coming times, and I'm hoping that as we roll things forward, there'll be more spaces using the Link for Life blog and the Facebook page, where some of the students and others who've been on the visit can write a little bit more, perhaps with some more detail, about stories of situations and young people that they've met and the situations that they've come across. And one of the careful and clever things that Mr. Leonard did for us just before we left Africa was got us to all write a letter, a card to ourselves, which he then was going to post back to us as a reminder to say, in the letter we were invited, write in here the things that you don't want to forget, and I'll post the letter back to you when we get back to England. Well, mine arrived 2 days ago, and I had forgotten much of the things that I'd written in there. So, Mr. Leonard, thank you for that. And that's just an instance of how we need to keep refreshed in our minds the things that we've been involved with. I want to say, as we close, a thank you to people from St Anne's and the wider Hands at Work Midlands community who have given to support this kind of visit taking place. Link for Life is a charity itself, and although the students worked extremely hard fundraising to get a portion of the cost of their visit, it was also added to by people here tonight and others who aren't here who've donated generously to make the visit possible. So to you, thank you very much indeed. I want to say thank you as well to the students and parents for taking the bold, big and lovely step of saying, yes, I want to go to Africa if you're a student, and the perhaps bigger and bolder thing of a parent of saying, yes, okay, I'll let you go. And that's no small thing, and I hope that your confidence in your children has been warmly repaid as you've seen them respond since they've come back and as they've spoken tonight as well. A number of people have said, how do we get involved and support Hands at Work in Africa? That's an easy question. The idea of supporting the care points that are linked with Link for Life and St Anne's, which are Zwalisha and Mafambisa through Wolgarston. If you want to, maybe club together with 2 or 3 other people, and if you can contribute £20 a month, that will cover the 3 essential services for any of the children in those care points at either Zwalisha or Hands at Work, depending on which you would want to go with. And I'm delighted that we've got David and Jane Newsom here. So Jane, give us a wave, David. And they're joint coordinators and directors. I forget your exact title. Does that work? Coordinators of Hands at Work in Africa UK, and if that's something you'd like to discuss tonight, then obviously they'll have a chat with you, but I can help with that as well if you want. £20 a month is often a lot for an individual to do, but a group of several people can say, yeah, together we can do this, and hopefully you've seen the difference that those little bits, relatively speaking, of money, they're simply multiplied up when they go to Africa by the wonderful volunteer work that the care workers put together. So there's an opportunity there for us to do that, and every so often, every quarter or so, there'll be an update about the care points that we're supporting. There's a notice board here for Zwalisha, which we were able to visit for one of the days of our visit, and that's where all of St Anne's sort of feedback information comes, and you can see all the hands there are the names of the children at Zwalisha care points who are being supported by the donations which St Anne's make as well. I'm aware we're running towards 9 o'clock, and that's the time we said we're going to finish. So this is kind of last orders for anyone who wants to make some of the comments. And I just want to encourage the students to be bold if you wanted to say something. Izzy, good for you.
You've heard my voice a lot, especially the people at the table. But I think, as one of the last messages from the Wolgarston team, I think it would be a big thank you to all the churches and everyone that's contributed, as Richard said, but also the teachers that were willing to take us, because that's quite a bold move to try and take 4 kids to Africa is really bold thing to do. But I think me and other members of the team as well, I don't want to speak for you, but we would say a big thank you to give us that kind of opportunity, because it's not something that you get offered every day, and it's not something that it's a real once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for many people, and so I would thank the whole team for making it such an incredible trip, students and teachers and people from the church. I just thought it was an incredible experience, so thank you very much for giving us that opportunity.
Are there any other burning questions from any of the folk who can... Lindsay, go for it.
I think I'd just like to thank the people that actually came to listen to us speak today, because a lot of people will act blind to this kind of thing. They'll be like, I can't see it, I don't live like that, so I don't really have to pay attention to that. So it's nice to know that people actually want to learn about it and know what people go through, so they can maybe help out.
Said. Okay, and the big question, I suppose, is that from a Christian point of view, is to say, for me, this is at the heart of what God's kingdom, what God's dream, if you like, for God's world looks like. That there would be not separation of wealth and poverty, of need and an absence of need, but that we might be able to find a way of beginning to rewire the world in a way that is more wholesome. And for a little tiny bit of the visits that we were a part of, we were able to glimpse, we were able to sniff the sort of territory that I think is on God's heart. And for me as a Christian, that is absolutely priceless, because it puts fuel in my tank to help me do that sort of stuff here in ordinary places like Chasetown, like Burntwood, like Penkridge and so forth. And that's one of the ways that we can choose to live differently, is to say, though I can't be in Africa every day, I can bring some of that glimpses of heaven that I've seen and try and plant those seeds here so that everyone can be a part of it. And with that as a thought, I'm going to lead us in a prayer to close the evening. If you're someone who prays, then please join in. If you don't normally, then that's okay. Just stay quiet and think of the things you might have seen and heard tonight. Living God, thank you for the people who were met on the visit that we made to Africa a few weeks ago. We thank you for everyone who's come this evening and for everyone who was involved in the visit. And we pray your blessing for you to speak good into the lives of the people who we met and into our own lives too. And we thank you, praying that you would help us to be the difference in the world that we encounter. When we see a need, may we be part of, in some small way, the answer to the problems that we see. And we ask for your help and your blessing on the community of Hands at Work. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you very much indeed for coming this evening. I would want to say a thank you on your behalf to Deb and Pam, who've they've made a swift exit, but they've served us this evening, our pap and chakalaka, and thanks to Tony and Pat, who have been serving tea and coffee as well and so forth, and everyone else who's been involved. Thank you. Have a safe journey home, and please keep an eye on the Facebook page. Oh, Kerry, go ahead.
Nobody's thanked you. Massive thank you. You put so much effort and passion into these trips. I had only the experience of going on one so far, but I know from what you've said and how you've spoke about the trips before and how the other people who've been on other trips have spoken of them, and the immense amount of work and passion that you put into them. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to have a really wonderful experience and to learn so much, not only about Africa, but Hands at Work, but also Links for Life, and just the effort that you put into being able to give the students the opportunity to go out there and just get a taster of what may make a difference, not only to their lives, but hopefully to the children in Africa as well. So thank you. And thank you to Mike, who's on the other side of the schooling team, who again, I know, to making it all happen. Yeah, and Catherine and Jane, who's not here tonight, but have felt so blessed, so thank you.
So thank you one and all, and have a safe journey home, and thanks to those who've joined us on Facebook as well.